YouTube, what's going on, man? It's your boy Xerxes coming back at you with another one. It has been a while. Hope you guys been well. Wanted to share with you guys what I've been playing in this Legacy of Phrecia event. It's Frostblades. Surprise, surprise. I was going to play something else, and I still might switch over to Mana Forged Arrows. I just had never done that before, and I didn't want to have a shitty league start, so I went with something I knew for the most part, because there's new ascendancies in this league, so no one really knows how they're going to work. But as you can see probably by the thumbnail, I am a gambler, so I'll quickly just go over what the gambler gives you, and then we'll run a map and show you how the gameplay looks. Spoilers, it's pretty much very similar to how a lot of the other Frostblades builds look. But basically, we get a chance to deal triple damage, and as well as a chance to deal double damage, and we deal a little bit less damage because of that. We have 50% Ellie avoid and stun avoid, which is huge for defense, so that's nice. And then here we have minus res, but we have a 50% chance for our Ellie res to count as being 90%. So that paired with our shield that we're using, it goes all the way up to 90% chance. So 90% of the time we're going to be having 90% res against hits, which is just huge. The survivability on this build feels like way more than like what the POB shows. By the way, I will include the POB down in the description below for you guys, but just a heads up, the numbers, they look rough, but I'm telling you, I'm level 95 right now. I've had a few deaths, but most of them were early on when I was still getting the gear and stuff. Since I've gotten the gear, my deaths have been very few and far between. So it's one of those ones where you just got to try it, because it feels way better than sometimes the numbers show. Okay, but lastly, we have 50% chance to treat enemy monster resistances as inverted. So this paired with our Ellie Res mastery here means that 3 out of 4 hits we're going to be having the enemy monster res inverted. So if they have 75 res, they're going to have negative 75 res. 3/4 of the time, which is just huge. So that, in conjunction with dealing triple damage and ruthless procs, like you'll see like on this map showcase, if anything lives long enough, there'll be some big chunks, and those are those triple damage inverted ruthless procs. So what we're gonna do, I'm running a destructive play tree right now, so I've just been gathering up a bunch of boss maps, because I would like to farm an Indigon myself if I can. So I've been just doing destructive play. So I won't go over like every single one of these idols, but basically the ones that are most important is obviously the destructive play idol, and then I've just been throwing in anything that has chance to drop either a shaper map, a guardian map, or an elder map, or a synthesis map in here. So that's pretty much just all I filled this up with, and then I'm just running Maven. Oh, the Maven's already seen this one, so let's do a different map that the Maven hasn't seen yet. Maybe something that we can do like kind of quick. Let's do a Dunes map. I like Dunes. Don't want to do Ellie Reflect, though. It's the one thing that we don't have awakened Ellie damage with attacks yet, so can't do that. But anyway, so like I was saying earlier, this build feels insanely tanky. Like with the the tech I was talking about earlier is the Kilowava's Bluster, right? So as you can see on here, this says 40% chance for Ellie Res to count as being 90. So these are worded the exact same in the Ascendancy in here. So there's no reason to think that this wouldn't work. So like I said, 90% of the time, we're going to have 90% res against hits. So we have that in conjunction with a decent amount of armor and evasion, and 75 block and 99 spell suppress. Right now we're not at 100, but we're effectively at 100% spell suppression too. So the build just feels really tanky against lots of stuff. So we'll go through here, show you what the build plays like. Like I was saying, it's pretty akin to most of the Frostblades that you've seen before. The speed is actually a little bit more in this one, I would say, because, and I'll go over this when I go over my gear and skills and stuff, but I'm actually running haste right now because I'm not full cold convert with my weapon. So hatred just doesn't really do all that much right now. So haste, I noticed, actually feels better. We'll run some of this Legion so you can see what this is like too. I might not have I might not have picked the right tree. I don't know if I did or not. We'll see when we get to the boss, I guess. This thing's lasting forever, huh? But yeah, legions, this thing wrecks legions too. Yeah, so I guess we'll loot a little bit of this stuff and then I'll go back to the hideout and show you the gear. Oh, corrupted blood. I'm still working on getting a corrupted blood jewel too, because corrupted blood is one of the things that can take you down pretty quick. Oh, there's a general here, huh? She gone. I need to find the idols that give you a chance to drop the as full shards or full emblems, because lethal prides are very hard to come by right now. Excuse me. Anyway, okay, let's just kill this. Oh, okay, we did do destructive play. Easy clap. Okay, we'll come back and loot this later, but just wanted to show you. Like I said, it's pretty similar to how a lot of Frostblade's characters plays. It's just a little bit faster. The damage, in case you're wondering, is right now 17.1 million, and that's with this this amulet on, not the Fury Valve. I'll go over that when I go over the gear though. So let's do that right now. So the gear, let's just start piece by piece. I have a heat shiver on right now. It's not doing a ton. I mean, it's, I guess it is, huh? Because we're not full converting yet, but it's still good no matter what, right? So heat shiver here, and in the heat shiver we're wearing, or we have whirling blades with faster attacks, and then herald of ice, and like I said, haste. For a while I was doing wrath, but you can only level wrath up to like level 7 because of intelligence requirements. Then hatred, and hatred just doesn't feel good until we go with a big fizz weapon. So haste for me is comfy, and I'm having a good time with it. So that's the helm. The sword, as you can see, we're not using a claw, and that's just because it takes a lot of points to go up here and get all this claw stuff. And so the sword stuff is right by where we already are anyway. So we just decided to, I say we, I should give a shout out right now to Zish anyway, because he's the one that came up with this. I just followed his and made a couple of small tweaks along the way, but I'll put a link down into his channel down below too, because he's the one that I've learned all my Frostblade shit from. So big shout out to Zish for coming up with this new tech, right? But sword just feels better pretty much, and it costs less points, long story short. So the sword, I bought a fractured attack speed sword, hit it with some cold essences, and then crafted on strength and crit. This is not great. So ideally what you would want is a full cold and fizz foil, right? So you'd want high flat cold, and then you'd want flat added fizz, and then percent increased fizz. And then on the suffixes, obviously you want attack speed, crit, and crit. So once you do that, then you're definitely going to want to make sure that you go down here and get these points and go to 40% converted to cold. That'll increase your damage by a bunch, and then make sure that you swap to hatred at that point too. But for now, I just have this is like a 500 and something, 619 DPS foil. So it's pretty good until I'm able to craft my GG fizz and cold foil. So that's that. The ring is just a big like resist ring with some flat damage, right? So I crafted this and had like 2 open prefixes, I think. And so then I crafted on the cold damage 2 attacks, and then I slammed, I think it's a Redeemer Slam. Yeah, it's a Redeemer Slam, just to add even more flat cold damage against chilled enemies. So most of the pretty much any rare in this build that I have, I crafted myself. The only things that are unique are the stuff that I bought, right? So this is decent, but you could get a better one. I'm just using this as a placeholder for now. Taming obviously is like best in slot. I got like a mid-roll kind of, but just threw some LE damage catalysts on there and called that good. For mapping, you're going to want a Fury Valve. I got mine for like 18 chaos or something like that. It just makes mapping feel insanely good. And until you can get a yoke, you should just probably swap it out for some other rare amulet that you can make. You want to make sure that you keep your attributes and keep your resistances. So as you can see, I have 75 all res. And then if I swap to this, I'm still res capped, right? So make sure that your res and your stats don't get bricked. But this one just goes, I think I get like an extra 1.5 mil damage just from this alone. So, because this is just a mapping thing, it doesn't really give you any single target. So anything that you can do with crit, multi, crit, flat damage, anything like that is going to be better for a single target. The body armor, I need to use some Eldritch. Well, I might wait because this thing's not really that great. I'm just using this as a placeholder right now too. I need more suppress, and then that like fizz damage to melee attacks is useless. So I could use some Eldritch currency to fix this, but I might just wait and see if I can get more suppress chance on there before I go all in. But should go over some of the links in here too. We went over our Heat Shiver. This is Bone Chill linked with Frost Blink, and Blood Rage is in here. Important note, you can have Blood Rage on either your weapon or your shield. And if you can see down here, Blood Rage is degenning my health right now, right? So if I go to like in between phases of a boss fight or whatever, and I don't want to have to use a life flask, this is just going to keep on going. So what you can do is have your weapon swap set up with Blood Rage on your weapon swap. And you want to make sure like on your weapon swap, you don't have anything else because you could accidentally turn off one of your auras or something like that. So I just turn all of these to move only. But then as you can see, if I have Blood Rage on and then I want it to turn off, I just weapon swap real quick and it goes back off, right? And so this is a way that you can use that to make sure that you don't have to like unnecessarily degen a bunch of life in between phases of bosses and stuff. So just some cool tech there, right? So Blood Rage here. In here we have Life Tap with Mark on Hit and Assassin's Mark. Very important to get quality on your Assassin's Mark. This is how you get your power charges. Don't skip over this. And then in the body armor, we have Frost Blades with Close Combat, Ruthless, Awakened Added Cold. I just bought this last night. If you don't have it, just use regular added cold damage. LA damage with attacks, and multi-strike. The gloves are just kind of a placeholder too, with some accuracy and res. And then I was able to get the main thing on here, which is the pierce a target and the additional strike. And in here we have Rage with Returning Proj, Culling Strike, and Vol Lightning Strike. This is how we get our Rage. So whenever you're at a boss, you just drop this down and your Rage will shoot up. Ideally, I would like to have a Rage on hit Lethal Pride, but like I said, they are just hard to come by right now. The Stygian Vice is, for a long time, I needed a bunch of strength before I had a Lethal Pride, and so I was able to get this one that had 50 strength on it. Ideally, I would probably like this to be like maybe int instead at this point now, but it's still good for what it is. So life, strength, resistance, and then I had 2 prefixes left. So I crafted LA damage with attacks and then Redeemer Slam for the increased cold damage. You can get, I think, 3 different things on this slam. If you have an open prefix, you can get cold damage, increased damage against shield enemies, and then I believe the other one is like evasion or something like that. So you got a 66% chance to win if you Redeemer Slam a Stygian Vice with an open prefix. And then the last thing is the boots, which is just Enduring Cry with Urgent Orders. This is how we get endurance charges while we're mapping. You also can get endurance charge on kill on a Lethal Pride, but this is how you generate them in a bossing situation. So whenever you're near a boss, just Enduring Cry, and if you're near a unique enemy, you'll get 3 charges, and they last 20 seconds because of this mastery down here. So long time, you only have to click this once every 20 seconds. Not bad at all. And in here we have Flesh and Stone and Precision. I'm using Precision just to make sure that I'm accuracy capped. So Precision with an accuracy roll here, a accuracy at close range here, and 1 blind tattoo. I'm actually hit capped, but depending on where you're at with your accuracy and stuff, you might need to actually take like this wheel right here. This is what I had for a long time, but because of the blind tattoo and the accuracy roll on here and close range, I was able to get it to where I don't need this anymore. So that goes over the gear. I accidentally just grabbed some portal scrolls. Flasks real quick. The Flask that I'm using, Silver Flask with reduced effective curses, just a corrupted blood immune life flask. I'm using a granite flask with crit and crit, and then a diamond flask with increased duration and armor. And then this one right here, I have this prismatic tincture. This one, I'm actually able to sustain this mana burn if I'm like attacking a boss. So I have it on. Depending on your leech rate and stuff, you might not be able to sustain this for very long. But because my attack speed is so high, I can actually leech this mana burn for quite a while. So if you don't have one or enough leech to sustain this, you can get one with a little bit less increase effect. Like I think like 18 effect you can get, and it doesn't have that increased mana burn rate. So you can get one with increased effect. In POB, penetrate res is going to be more damage, but I think the melee attack speed feels better. It's pretty close, so mess around with it. If you have one with a really high pin, try that and see. But for me, the melee weapon attack speed, I think, just feels comfy. So I've been using that. All right, that goes over the inventory. Lastly, let's just go over the passive tree real quick. Nothing too crazy on here. We came down this way. The pathing initially, you should probably follow Zish's like leveling POB. You can get that from his channel. Like I said, I'll link it down below. But the leveling isn't too bad, but I've also leveled Frostblades a shit ton of times, so I like am very aware of like when to make certain swaps and when not to and stuff. But you know, if you're not good at leveling Frostblades, you can level anything else and just swap over at some point. But really the only thing that of like note here is we are taking this instant leech right here, and then we go down. This is actually something that's different too that we've never done before. This bleed wheel right here, very interesting, right? So you get 15, 30, and then that's 110, and then 190% increased crit chance against bleeding enemies, right? And so you want to make sure that, as you can see here on my Frostblades, I actually still have some fizz damage, right? So if you're doing 0 physical damage with Frostblades cannot bleed an enemy. So if you do make the switch later and you go full cold convert, you're not going to have any fizz damage on your Frostblades, and the only way that you're going to be able to bleed is through Lightning Strike. So this is something that you have to kind of figure out, like how bad do you want this damage versus not having the crit up all the time, because 190% crit is massive, right? So this is something that I've been playing around with a little bit, looking at potentially going over here for this like sword mastery and maybe dropping this, because that way you could full cold convert and still have the crit chance that you get from this bleed. I don't know. That's a little bit further down the road. But other than that, we do take this block. Like I said, we are at, I think we have 74 block right now. And then I'm just going to tattoo one of these for the last block chance that we need. So 75 block, basically, 90% chance for 90 elemental resistance. We have, I think in the POB, it's something like, let's see here, like 60% evade, and some fizz damage reduction from armor, so like the build, like I said, the build feels really tanky. Anything else to talk about? Lethal Pride, you can see what I got on here. I just got some melee damage, crit chance, reduced damage from crits is always good, and then double damage here, and what else? Melee damage, crit multi. So this one's pretty decent. I got this one for like a divine, I want to say. So and then, stun, right? Stun avoid. So what I was talking about earlier, we are elemental ailment avoid or immune and stun immune. And the way that we get our stun immunity is through 50% here. And then we have 24% here. So that's 74. And then where's the last? Right here. And then 28 here. So between all three of those things, we cannot be stunned. And then we have the elemental ailment immunity too. So can't be stunned, can't be shocked, chilled, ignited, frozen, none of that shit. So it feels really good to not do that. And then we also have like pseudo crit immunity as well, because we have the minus damage taken from crits on our Lethal Pride, and then we also have take no extra damage from crits if you've taken a crit, right? So once you take one crit, you're pretty much crit immune through the Pantheon. I would definitely recommend taking Soul of Solaris. And then I was doing some red Searing Exarch maps, so I was running this. But I think something that would be really good, especially if you're doing destructive play, is to run Soul of Rislatha, because Maven does that shit where she heals them all the time, and this I think would counteract those heals and regen. So something to keep in mind there. And then I think that's all I have to say. Like I said, I will include the POB down below. You can, I think the only thing that you'll see in there that it might be different is that I have the Fury Valve, but you should see this amulet in there as well. So I think the damage that I'm looking at right now is with that amulet on. Yeah, with the turquoise amulet. With the Fury Valve, it's 15.3. So this amulet gives you like 2 million damage. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The POB will be down in the description below. And then the last thing I'll do is, just in case anyone's curious about this MTX, because I think it looks pretty sick. This is like the one from PoE2. So I'm just going to hover over all this stuff so you guys can see it, because I have had some people ask me for some of these things in the past. This is the Divergence character effect. And then this is the Stygian Herald effect that I was using, which makes the explosions happen. So in case anyone was curious about that. All right, guys, rambled on for a long time. I think I'm going to leave the video there. If you guys have any questions about the build, drop them down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.